Hey, let's try this. Hello, all you beautiful people. Welcome to Off the Mat with J. Cole Yoga. Okay, today, let's talk about cannabis legalization here in Canada. So I have notes. Let's try and make sure I can do this right with notes. So this is probably one of the longest drawn-out government processes in the history of Canadian government. This has been going on since the 60s when this was first brought up. There's so much happening with this, I can't possibly cover it all in one short little video, but here's the gist of it. So currently, there's people who are allowed to grow pot at home. They're on these old grandfathered programs, and the government's basically waiting for them to die off. They don't want this to happen, these people, and what they're doing. So these guys get their homes invaded by police, constantly checking to see if they've grown beyond the limit allowed in their contract. Some of these old contracts only allowed the plants to get so big, and that includes the stalk and the root of the plant, which is thrown away anyways. You only want the buds up top, so it's kind of, you know, it's working against them. And like these are a lot of older farmers, sick people who can't get into town to a dispensary. They can't afford the crazy dispensary prices, and it's really cheap to grow your own at home. And some of these, you know, people have been growing tomato plants their whole life. They can grow a pot plant. It's not that hard. I mean, if you're not trying to get some crazy strain that's just going to blow your mind away. And I mean, a lot of people are using the stalks and the roots and all the whole system for the cannabinoid system involved. So yeah. Now the big thing is the government doesn't believe that people can safely grow their own at home. So they're claiming that these people are putting too many harmful pesticides in what they're growing. But the thing is that a lot of these people, they're growing it to use themselves. They're not growing these to sell to anyone or to give to their neighbor or anything like that. I mean, that's why they're doing it at home, because it's cheaper for themselves. They're not trying to make a big business out of this. They're not infringing on any, they're not trying to pull one over on, you know, so this has really propelled the government's campaign lately with this whole pesticide thing. And I mean, we know they don't care about us. That's for sure. If they cared about us, they would put things like dental plans into our healthcare system, but they don't. Like, it's all about just keeping us sick, dumb, so we keep voting for idiots. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get back to the cannabis story here. So the government believes people are using chemicals and it's not healthy for us. And so what's happened is big companies who are growing, or organograms in all these places, they've been caught now putting a lot of pesticides and harmful chemicals in their plants. And so now people who have never smoked cannabis or ingested it before are trying this out for the first time. And they're going to these places and, you know, they're getting some harmful shit. So like, then they're having it tested and they're like, oh, I don't want that. And so now that has added fuel to the government's campaign to try and stop these companies from growing, basically, and being in business, in the cannabis business. So even though it's becoming legal here in the next couple of days, which it's also going to take at least another year before the effects fully span across all the provinces. It's going to take a long time to figure out the legalities and everything for each province. So that's another thing. Where am I here? I wrote too many notes. So right now we've got mom and pop operations doing a lot of the growing, running the dispensaries. The government does not want this to happen as a free market in Canada. Similar to their booze and alcohol systems, they want to control the whole thing. Because cannabis is such a robust plant with so many uses, it infringes on the oil industry in a big way. It infringes on a lot of various manufacturing industries, textiles, fiberglass, things like that. Concrete, there's a lot of hempcrete being used now. The forestry industry, I mean, for a tree to grow 30 years before it's ready to be cut down and used, and when a cannabis plant grows in 3 months and you can cut it down and use it and make stuff with it, I mean, that's kind of a big deal. So what I personally don't understand is, why don't these forestry companies start growing their own fields of cannabis? It would be so much cheaper than trying to wait 30, 40, 50 years for a fucking tree to grow. And I mean, cutting down the trees is probably not a good thing either. We need the trees for oxygen to stay alive and so many other things. Animals, insects, the whole ecosystem. And we've been like constantly clear-cutting forests here in Canada, and it's getting pretty out of control, especially in the Maritimes on the East Coast, in provinces like New Brunswick, where they have the Irvings going in and just wiping out everything. And sadly, the Irvings then spray glyphosate. I don't know if I'm saying that right. The bee killer, the Roundup shit. They go in and once they've clear-cut your property that they've paid you for these trees, they then go in and they completely spray the whole area. And like, you don't have a choice. They just go in and do it. Like as soon as they're done clear-cutting. And it just kills everything in the area. And this is seeping into a lot of the water. It's killing off a lot of animals. And namely the bees, which we need to create more trees to grow back in those empty fields that are now left, this barren wasteland. Yeah, so that's a whole other thing. So the government really wants to control the production and the sale of the cannabis. It just so happens that a lot of these companies, these industries that I just said, are so deeply rooted into the government that they're really having a strong effect on this. So what it all comes down to basically is the ones who are on top right now, they want to remain on top, and they don't want to allow all these mom and pop shops and these little guys and this kind of free market independence to come up and build something great. They're going like, you're stepping on our toes, my oil industry and my forestry. So it's like, we can't have them doing it. We're going to do it. And that's kind of where we're at right now. I can go on about so many more industries that are affected by the use of cannabis and how they stand to lose billions of dollars, such as the medical industry. I think we all know where that's going. Already plants are being reverse engineered to try and cut down the amount of helpful cannabinoids that would help heal so many people. And it's in an effort to cut back the effectiveness of the cannabis use. This has been portrayed also in the media lately as the weed is too strong. So we have a lot of people who are coming in, newbies, they're trying it for the first time, and they took too much. They didn't know their dose. They thought they were hardcore. They're like, oh, I drink lots of beer, I can do anything. And they can't, you know. These big, strong men are really, you know, their egos are crushed. You know, they had panic attacks. They went into a lot of anxiety issues and things like that from really taking too much. Greening out, as I call it. I've greened out many times myself, and so I know where to, you know, taper it off. I know how to not smoke too much, and I know how to ingest enough. Proper labeling kind of does need to happen. You kind of do need to know what is in the edibles for things like that. So the weed is too strong. And so these same people, again, like before, they're contributing to this government's campaign. So they're smoking it and they're going, yeah, we trust the government. We think that we need to bring the strength levels down in this cannabis. So that's where we're at right now, folks. So stay tuned, and I'll try and update everybody as I learn more. I probably didn't cover everything, and I probably screwed some things up, but that doesn't matter because we're all here to learn and grow together. Subscribe, 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 subscribe. Peace.